What's up, Falcons Nation? It's your boy Jew coming at you with another Atlanta Falcons video. It's always Falcons Nation rise up. In today's video, I want to talk about who we should select with that number 16 pick in this upcoming NFL draft. And I also want to talk about a player that we should seriously think about signing in free agency this upcoming March for the Atlanta Falcons. But with that being said, if you're new to the channel, as always, please hit that subscribe button. Please like the channel, hit that notification bell so you'll know when I've done content for our Atlanta Falcons. I appreciate every single one of you guys for continuing to help grow the channel. With that being said, let's jump right into the video. So if you've been watching the mock drafts for the media, they either have us taking AJ Espinoza, the edge rusher out of Iowa that goes about 6'6", 280 pounds, or they have us taking Chaisson out of the University of LSU. He goes about 6'4", 250 pounds. I've watched tape on both of these guys and highlights and things of that nature of both of these guys. Personally, if I were the GM of the Atlanta Falcons, I would take Chaisson with that number 16 pick. The only way I wouldn't take Chaisson is if Javon Kinlaw is available on the board at 16 or Derek Brown is available at 16. But I believe both of those guys, those defensive tackles, will be going at that point. So if it's just out of the edge rushers, and I believe also Chaisson, he's another, he's supposed to be the top edge rusher out of Ohio State. I believe at that point he'll be going as well because he's a top 3 pick in this draft. So he definitely will be going. But out of the edge rushers, I would go with Chaisson over AJ Espinoza. Like I said, I've watched tape on both guys. Personally, I prefer Chaisson over AJ Espinoza because, as you know, we're not bringing back Vic Beasley, and Vic Beasley was a very versatile player for the Atlanta Falcons. And I feel like Chaisson could come in and fill Vic Beasley's shoes. He could possibly be a Vic Beasley 2.0. And the reason I say that, if you remember when Vic Beasley was here with the Falcons, he mainly was a speed rusher. He was able to drop back into coverage and cover running backs and drop into the middle of the field sometimes and cover tight ends. And he also was able to spy on quarterbacks. And Chaisson is that similar type of player. If you go and watch tape on Chaisson, LSU used him in that same role. They used him as an edge rusher. They used him in coverage where he dropped off in coverage and covered screens and running backs. And they also used him to quarterback spy. So that's definitely something that Chaisson is already comfortable with. Is being used as a Swiss Army knife. And I definitely think that could be a huge he could be a huge X factor for this Atlanta Falcons team. If you go and watch the tape on Chaisson, he plays with a very high motor. And that's the difference that I noticed between him and a Vic Beasley. Chaisson is a very athletic player, just like Vic Beasley. A very fast player like Dan Quinn likes, just like Vic Beasley. Physical, but he's more aggressive. To me, Vic Beasley at times just didn't look aggressive. He wasn't consistent with his effort. And that's not something that I see with this guy, Chaisson. He looks like he plays with a lot of effort. He looks like he plays angry, plays with his hair on fire. And I really think that he will be the right selection for the Atlanta Falcons at 16. Another thing I noticed about Chaisson that I like over Vic Beasley is he mixes up his pass rushes. He doesn't just speed rush, but he also bull rushes. And I feel like that was one of the big things or big knocks on Vic Beasley that hurt him is he didn't bull rush. He only used speed rush all the time. So he would, a lot of the times, he was washed out by the tackle, or he would overrun plays and get pushed too wide because he couldn't bend and get around the corner. To me, Chaisson looks like he's a little bit more athletic. He's able to bend but keep his balance. And like I said, he doesn't give up on plays. He gives effort. Even if a player runs down the field, gets by Chaisson, he chases the guy down. Similar to a Grady Jarrett that plays for our team, he gives 110% on every play. And those are the type of players that we need on this Atlanta Falcons team. We need a cohesive unit that all plays with their hair on fire. We can't have some guys giving 100% effort and some guys out there, slacking off on plays or taking plays off. And from time to time, I felt like Vic Beasley was too easily blocked. He didn't shed blocks well, and he didn't play fast. To me, he was thinking too much on the field instead of just reacting and instead of just using his instincts. And I've noticed with this guy, Chaisson, it looks like he's a very good player at being aggressive and using his instincts, playing with instinct and not so much doing too much thinking out there on the field. So I definitely, like I said, would go with this kid, Chaisson, out of LSU. He does come from a winning pedigree, playing with the LSU, and he comes from a defense, a great defense in LSU. And as you know, the Atlanta Falcons are known for taking defensive players out of LSU, like Deion Jones a couple years back, Duke Riley a couple years back, Jalen Collins, the cornerback that end up being cut because of PED use or drug use or substance abuse issues. So you know that we're known for taking guys out of LSU, and LSU has been known for having diamonds in the rough, having great players on that defense, especially in their secondary and their linebacker position. Devin White, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers middle linebacker last year for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, another standout player at LSU. So they have a ton of gems that come out of LSU, and I do believe that Chaisson is another one of those gems that will be able to help our Falcons team become a tougher defense, a more aggressive defense, and also a fast and physical defense. Now, with that being said, AJ Espinoza is another player I told you guys that we were looking at selecting in this upcoming draft. Now, I didn't really like the fit of AJ Espinoza being an Atlanta Falcon because of the type of player he is. He just doesn't look like he fits the mold of what we do for the Atlanta Falcons. He's not a very fast player. He's not very athletic. Now, one thing that I can say positive about AJ Espinoza, he's a very solid player. He is a great player at setting the edge. He's not easily blocked. He's a force. You can use him on the inside or outside. So he's very versatile as far as you can use him inside and outside. But he's not a player that you can drop into coverage. He's not a player that can spy on a quarterback. And another big thing that big difference between the two, with Chaisson and with AJ Espinoza, I think that Chaisson will be better at getting after these quarterbacks that like to run. Being that we're going to a league now where it's a lot of mobile quarterbacks, like last year we faced a lot of mobile quarterbacks, I think that you need the athletic type of edge rusher to get after these mobile quarterbacks on the edge. Russell Wilson, Lamar Jackson, the kid Kyler Murray that plays with the Arizona Cardinals, numerous running quarterbacks in today's NFL game, and the quarterback position is changing. And as the quarterback position changes, and as players get more athletic and more, get more physical and more elusive, you need to continue to build your defense in a similar fashion. So I think that when it comes to AJ Espinoza, to me, he's just not athletic enough for my liking. If the Falcons were to take him, I would be fine with him being an Atlanta Falcon because, like I said, he is a solid player as far as getting after the quarterback by using his hands. He does have pass rush moves. So I did like the pass rush moves I seen out of AJ Espinoza. Like I said, he's a very strong, stout player. He doesn't get pushed around. He probably will be a better defensive end at stopping the run because he weighs 280 pounds, 6'6". So he's a very big guy, but he's just not as versatile as Chaisson. And I feel like that's the biggest issue that I seen with his game. So personally, I wouldn't have a problem with us taking AJ Espinoza, but I just feel like he's not the most athletic player. Another big issue that I noticed with AJ Espinoza is he's not a player that can really run the stunts. Like Atlanta Falcons like to run those twist stunts with their linemen. He's not a guy that's fast enough or athletic enough to run those twist stunts. Chaisson will be the perfect player for running those twists and those stunts because he's a very flash in the pan, quick first step, can get by, defenders, can fake defenders out. Where AJ Espinoza mainly is just a bull rusher. He's not really elusive, and he's not really he doesn't have much speed. He's not that athletic. He's just one of those stout defensive guys. I would compare him to like a defensive end, like the guy Ioannidis. If you've ever seen the Washington Redskins defensive end, You might want to go look him up. His name is the last name is Ioannidis. That's who AJ Espinoza reminds me of. Not athletic, but he's a very big guy, very strong guy. And the Redskins has a defensive end guy by the last name of Ioannidis, who plays the same way. He plays with a high motor, very strong, stout player, good at stopping the run, and good at using his hands and getting after the quarterback, but he mainly uses the bull rush. And that's who AJ Espinoza puts me in the mind of. But with that being said, I also want to talk about a player that the Falcons should consider taking in the free agency. And the player that I think that the Falcons should look at signing in free agency is Arik Armstead, the defensive tackle / defensive end for the San Francisco 49ers. He goes about 6'8", 290 pounds. A very solid player. Wears the number 91 if you want to go look him up. Look up some highlights. He played at the University of Oregon. He was an Oregon Duck. He's a very tall, long, rangy. He's another player that you can use inside and outside, but he's a lot more athletic than the AJ Espinoza. And as you know, I've been saying this for years. The Atlanta Falcons do need to give Grady Jarrett some help inside, and Arik Armstead is a handful. He plays with a very high motor. He's a guy that's very disruptive, can push the pocket. He had a great run in the playoffs with the 49ers, played well in the Super Bowl, and played well all season. He did have 10 sacks playing that nose tackle position for the 49ers last season. Now, one thing that alarmed me a little bit with Arik Armstead, even though I'm a fan of us possibly signing him, is he didn't have many sacks early in his career. This was the first year that he had 10 sacks, or double-digit sacks. The other years that I looked at, he had like 2 and 3 sacks a year, but that's because he was playing inside and he didn't have much help. Now, with the 49ers having abundance of pass rushers, he had a breakout season. So I'm not too sure if that's because he played around Nick Bosa and DeForest Buckner and Dee Ford that he was able to, increase his sack numbers up to that 10 number, But I do believe that Arik Armstead is a player that the Atlanta Falcons should consider signing. Like I said, he's another player that is good at using pass rush moves, using his hands, and also using the bull rush. Very physical player, very strong player, and like I said, very tall. And as you've seen in the Super Bowl, tall players come in handy because if you can't get to the quarterback, if you can get into the passing lane and bat down passes, that's another way to be disruptive. And if you noticed, Chris Jones of the Kansas City Chiefs, in that last drive for the 49ers when they were trying to tie the game or go down and take the lead, they had a crucial stop with Chris Jones batting down the pass. And he's another player that's very tall, very stout in the middle. So they do need to get Grady Jarrett, another guy inside that can help Grady Jarrett bring pressure from the middle, can help Grady Jarrett with those double teams that he's facing on every play, and can free up Grady Jarrett from them double teams so Grady Jarrett can increase his sack numbers. So I do believe I would look at bringing in Arik Armstead. If we don't bring back Austin Hooper, we should have the money available to bring in another pass rusher. And I would seriously suggest us bring in Arik Armstead. Take a look at Arik Armstead. Take a look at Dante Fowler Jr., as I talked about, on the other edge, as another edge rusher. But I believe that Arik Armstead will bring a lot to this Atlanta Falcons team. Like I said, he's very versatile. You can use him at defensive end and nose tackle. Long, can bat down passes when getting the passing lane. And he fits the mold of the Atlanta Falcons because Atlanta Falcons and Dan Quinn likes players that are athletic. And Arik Armstead is a very athletic player. If you've seen him, you would think he's a power forward in the NBA because if you go pull a picture up of Arik Armstead on Google Images or on their website, he's a very tall. He looks like Blake Griffin. He looks like a physical. He looks like a basketball player. He doesn't look like a football player. He doesn't even look like he's a 300-pounder. But because he's 6'8" and muscle bound, he's a very big guy, very physical guy. And I do believe that he could also be a player that we can use with those twist stunts with him and K'Lavon Chaisson, Tat McKinley, Grady Jarrett. I would like that front four. If we're running a 4-3, if we continue to run our 4-3 base, you could have Tat McKinley on one side, Arik Armstead, Grady Jarrett in the middle, and then on the other side, Chaisson. That would be a scary defensive line. They all could bring pressure from different angles, and then you also could heat up some of these quarterbacks with blitz packages. But you got players where you could, that are very athletic and can do a lot of different things. So you guys tell me what you think about this idea of bringing in Chaisson, AJ Espinoza in the draft. Also, tell me what you think about the pick of Arik Armstead in free agency. Bringing in Arik Armstead. I don't know how much money or he's going to be looking for per year. I'm not too sure how much money he can garner or that he going to be looking for in this upcoming offseason. But I do believe if the Atlanta Falcons decide to move on from Austin Hooper, we definitely should have enough money to bring in another player. So Arik Armstead is a guy that I feel like the Falcons should definitely take a look at. Like I said, he's a physical freak. He can do all of the things that we need him to do next to Grady Jarrett in the middle. But you guys let me know what y'all think about that. But I'll holler at you guys in the next video. I'm going to have some videos coming out with some other defensive tackles that I've been looking at in the draft that we possibly could draft to play alongside Grady Jarrett if we don't have the money in free agency to bring in someone. I have looked at some other nose tackles other than Derek Brown because he'd probably be gone at this point, that point in the draft. So I have taken a look at some other guys that could possibly be a running mate for Grady Jarrett in the middle. And I'll have that video later on this week for you guys. But definitely leave your comments below. Tell me what you think about the guys that I mentioned in this video. Tell me if it's a player out there that you want me to take a look at, or if you have a question about a player that you think we should take, definitely put your comments and I might do a video on that player as well. But I appreciate every single one of you guys. I'll holler at you guys in the next video. This is your boy Jew signing out. And as always, Falcons Nation, rise up and peace.